Welcome to this explainer. Today we are undertaking a really fascinating project together. We're going to look at something that is so absolutely fundamental to our daily lives, yet it's incredibly fragile if we don't properly maintain it. We're doing a complete teardown and rebuild of our personal boundaries. I want you to think of your sense of self as a physical structure, like a building. We are going to explore exactly what happens when the very foundations of that building are compromised, and more importantly, how you and I can reconstruct them so they're totally unshakable. It's a pretty intimate process, looking closely at the architecture of self-respect, and we are going to build it all up right from the ground floor. So, to kick off this teardown, we have to ask ourselves a surprisingly difficult question right out of the gate. Why do we tolerate disrespect? It's a totally relatable paradox, isn't it? We know we deserve better. We absolutely know how it feels when someone crosses a line. Yet, so often, what do? We stay quiet, we smile, we just accept the bad behavior, the subtle little jabs, or even blatant disregard, all in this quiet, desperate hope that by being accommodating, we might just be liked. We literally trade our own comfort for their approval, but as we're about to see from our source text, this is a deeply, deeply flawed architectural strategy. Okay, let's dive into this. The source material hits us right away with this absolutely massive foundational rule. Don't ever tolerate disrespect because you want someone to like you. Let that really sink in for a second. It's a profoundly heavy directive. It goes straight for the throat of that default human instinct to just appease others. It demands that we completely stop using our own dignity as currency to buy affection from people who aren't even treating us well in the first place. Section 1. The disrespect paradox. Seeking validation. When we seek out external validation by shrinking ourselves down, by allowing others to just stomp all over our boundaries, we kind of trick ourselves into thinking we're constructing a bridge to friendship or acceptance. But the text reveals the immediate, total failure of this approach. Here is the harsh reality laid out in the source. Not only will they not like you, but you will quickly stop liking yourself. This right here is the absolute crux of the paradox. You sacrifice your own standards, thinking it's going to win you some affection, but it creates the exact opposite of what you want. The other person entirely loses respect for you, and honestly, far worse than that, the structure of your own internal self-worth just begins to collapse. You end up with zero external affection, and you lose your internal affection too. You basically end up hating yourself for having compromised at all. Section 2. The hidden costs. Eroding our self-esteem.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the very specific, deliberate word the source uses here. It says it erodes self-esteem. Think of the Grand Canyon for a second. It took millions of years of rushing water to carve that thing out, but tolerating disrespect, that can carve out your self-worth in a matter of months. Actually, scratch that, sometimes even weeks. It's a slow, structural failure over time. It's like water constantly hitting a rock until the rock just disappears. That's exactly what tolerating bad behavior does to your internal architecture. And as a direct, inevitable consequence, it leads straight to unhealthy relationships. You just can't build a strong, healthy connection on an eroded foundation. The entire relationship becomes completely structurally unsound.
Section 3. The essential foundation. Establishing a baseline to rebuild. And this brilliantly illustrates the two completely diverging paths we have in front of us. On the left, the path of failure, tolerating disrespect, which directly leads to that slow, crushing erosion we just talked about. And the alternative, on the right, setting boundaries. This is cause and effect perfectly represented. You simply cannot maintain your dignity without setting a boundary. The boundary is literally the physical wall that protects the interior space of your self-esteem. So let's properly define the core material we're using for this new foundation: self-respect. The source explicitly defines this not just as some warm, fuzzy feeling, but as a formal prerequisite. It states, respecting oneself is essential for commanding respect from others. I really want you to think about that word, commanding. You don't ask for respect. You definitely don't beg for it by people-pleasing. You command it. But the prerequisite, the absolute mandatory condition before anyone else is ever going to give it to you, is that you must possess it for yourself first. No exceptions. Section 4. Building strong boundaries. Erecting the walls. Our source provides a remarkably clear, step-by-step blueprint for how we actually enact this. Step 1, you must value yourself way above the opinions of others. Now, I know this is absolutely the hardest step for the recovering people pleaser, but it's totally vital. Your worth isn't determined by their applause. Step 2, Set clear limits. People need to know exactly where your property line is. And step 3, prevent future disrespect. By setting those incredibly clear limits today, you aren't just solving whatever problem is right in front of you, you're proactively securing your mental real estate for the future. Let's move to and see how this builds, because when we finally put these steps into practice, we discover the incredible power of assertiveness. Assertiveness is the structural framing that maintains our dignity. It is the solid steel beam inside our building. Standing up for yourself isn't about being aggressive or mean, not at all. It's simply the crucial, powerful act of enforcing those clear limits we just drew up. It's the active daily maintenance of your self-respect. Section 5, the ultimate reward. Why we must prioritize our well-being. So the crucial point is, why go through all of this difficult work? Why risk people not liking us? Because when you finally prioritize your own well-being, the source tells us you get healthy relationships built on mutual esteem. That means respect is flowing both ways, not just you constantly giving it away. Furthermore, this whole process of boundary setting fosters massive personal growth and achieves real personal empowerment. You literally stop shrinking and you start growing. You aren't just protected from disrespect anymore. You are actively empowered to thrive within the safe, beautiful architecture you've built for yourself. We conclude with this stark, incredibly powerful thesis directly from the message of our source. True strength comes from within. It doesn't come from how many people like you. It absolutely doesn't come from external validation. It is generated entirely internally, built brick by brick through self-respect, clear limits, and the absolute refusal to ever tolerate being diminished again. You have the blueprint now. So I leave you with this. What kind of foundation are you building today?